Greetings everybody, and welcome back to the Lupine Logs, where we build a deck for $50 and take it into locals, which everyone else is also playing decks for $50. That was a bit extreme for my note. Today, we are playing Exosister, the Exceed archetype that absolutely despises the graveyard in any way, shape, or form, but hasn't really managed to take off due to their lack of endgame power. As always, if you would like to join in on the Lupine Weekly, where all of this is hosted, the link to the Discord is down in the description down below. We play at 7 p.m. CEST every Sunday. In addition, if you would like to see one of your decks on the wheel we spin for this series, there are channel memberships down in the description below. You can click on join and you can get your deck on the... Now, Exosister. Exosister typically builds into Exosister's Magnifica using two of their other Exceed monsters, which allows you to get a quick effect banish, as well as tagging out Magnifica for one of the Exceed monsters that is currently underneath it in order to get another piece of interaction. Michaelis can banish a card if it was Exceed summoned this turn, as well as search you a spell or trap card. We have Caspitel that stops you from using the graveyard, I believe. Yes, you can't special summon from the graveyard for the rest of this turn, that's what it is, and you can detach a material to search an Exosister monster. We then have Asophiel, which can't be destroyed by activated effects of monster special summon from the graveyard, and if it is Exceed summon using an Exosister, neither we can activate card effects in the graveyard this turn, and this can spin one card back to the hand. And lastly, we have Gibrine, which cannot be destroyed again by anything summoned from the graveyard. That's kind of the generic thing here, honestly. If it was summoned using an Exosister, guitar and effect monster opponent controls, and negate it until the end of this turn. So Gibrine is a negate, we have Asophiel, which is a spin, we have Michaelis, which is a banish, and we have Caspitel, which just kind of prevents you from doing stuff, let's be honest. In addition to that, though, they are all spellcasters in the main deck for some unforsakenable reason, which means we have the opportunity to play Quintet Magician. This card almost never comes up, but I needed an extra deck slot, and I figured this would be really funny. Magicalized Fusion allows you to fusion summon a spellcaster monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion material mentioned on it from your field or graveyard, and since we will generally be going through every single Exosister during our turns, this could come up and win the game, and if it does, it will be really funny. You will mention a couple of other cards in here, though. We do have Dugaris in case we absolutely stall out and need to do something, or perhaps need to OTK when we otherwise couldn't. This is a great way of doing that. We also have access to Gibrine, of course, which is just a cool little negate and defensive powerhouse. We are playing Bagukska. Bagukska is one of the best cards here. If we stall out and need to stall even further, Bagukska's the way to go. But we are also playing Kali Yuga and Sky Thunder, Mr. Zeus himself. The reason for this is the card Zexelfield. This is silly. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your cards and effects that target an Exceed monster you control. This is almost the same restriction as on Magical Meltdown for fusion monsters. During your draw phase, before you draw, you can place a Shining Draw from your deck on top of your deck. We're not playing that because it's a Utopia card. However, if an Exceed monster is special summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters and attach an Exceed from your extra deck or graveyard to that monster as material. This way, we can attach either Rising Rebellion Falcon, which of course is an unaffected giant asshole that blows up your opponent's entire board when summoned, or Kali Yuga, that just shuts down all effects on the board for the rest of the turn by using Magnifica. When Magnifica tags out, you choose one of the monsters attached to it, and this can be any monster, it does not have to be an Exosister. If we then choose to spin back one of these two, we can immediately Exceed summon one of these two using Magnifica as material. This will count as an Exceed summon, which means both of these will still trigger. So not only do we get a quick effect banish, we get a tag out for an absolutely massive lad, and that is very funny. How we accomplish this is through all of the Exosisters themselves. Martha being the most important one. If we only control Exceed monsters or no monsters at all, we can special summon Martha and an Aeolus from our deck. It's very simple. Aeolus can special summon itself from the hand if we control an Exosister. Irene can place an Exosister from our hand on the bottom of our deck to draw a card, and then if we have Sophia, we gain 800 life points. We don't really care. Stella can special summon another Exosister from our hand, and Sophia can draw one card, and if we control Irene, we gain 800 life points. Generally speaking, we will be starting every combo with Martha, summon Irene, and then make either Michaelis or Caspitel depending on our hand, searching either Pax or one of the other Exosisters that we are missing, and then we are just going to try and go from there. Our end board is very simple. We are just going to end on Magnifica and one of the Exosister trap cards, and that's, generally speaking, that's it. We are playing 3 Aratama and 1 Sakitama. Aratama, when summoned, allows us to search Sakitama, and Sakitama can summon itself, which makes us another 4, and sometimes that is just enough. In addition to that, we are playing the generic package, of course, 2 Called by the Grave, because our format uses a custom ban list that was recently updated. You can see all the changes on screen here. We are then playing the Heavy Storm. Droll and Lockbird has been limited to 2 in our format now, so we are playing that, but Ash Blossom's back at 3, so we are playing all 3 of those. We're also playing 2 Infinite Impermanences, because this deck is incredibly cheap. 3 packs is important, because that searches out Martha, or any of the missing targets, but generally it's Martha, so make sure to keep those in there. But the deck is fairly simple. I don't think we're going to have an incredible amount of difficulty with this one, really. I just think it's a bit lacking in terms of its endgame power, but we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that this gets somewhere. Let's just go to the games and see how it did. Alright then, round number 1 today. We're up against Bosque, who's playing Nemlyria. That's a funny one. Dreaming Nemlyria, going into Dream Tower, banishing 2 in order to search the level 10s, and then going for the Reviel, or Ice Cream Cone, I suppose. We are going to hit it here to prevent him from getting an extra trap, but he sets 4 anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. Our hand is everything awful possible. We've opened every one of we don't really want to see, and our only starter is Aratama, which just isn't enough. We set Returnia and Call by the Grave. Returnia not doing anything because we don't control an Exosister, while he just does the Nemlyria stuff. He is going to search 2 more cards by banishing a bunch. He's going to special summon every guy in the known universe. We're going to prevent him from getting the effect off of Aurelia, which I think is meant to be like a croissant or some sort, or ice cream. I really don't know. He's going to punch us in the face multiple times, and then we are simply going to have 1 turn left over to see if we can do anything, but the likelihood of that is very low considering the hand. We go to end phase, and then here we go. It's Heavy Storm. Well, it's funny. We'll go Stella, we'll go Returnia. It'll just banish a bunch of things. We'll go Heavy Storm. It's not gonna matter. We don't have a chance in this one. We'll just take the concede and go game 2. For game number 2, we are at the very least going first, and our hand is awful. It's bad. We don't like it. We're going to go for the Aratama play. Aratama actually resolving to search Sakitama, which is decent. We'll go for the Sakitama. This at least gets us into Michaelis. Michaelis is going to search us Pax. Pax is going to search us Martha, and we are off to the races. With that, we're going to go ahead and activate Martha. That's going to summon an Aeolus from the deck, and we're going to go ahead and overlay them for the Caspatel. Caspatel is going to search us another monster here. We're going to grab Sophia for another turn, as we can then go into our funny Zexal Field. With Zexal Field, we're going to go into our Magnifica, attach the Raid Raptor, and pass turn. What do you know? We're immediately going to be hit by a Kaiju Slumber, which means we are forced to tag out into our Rising Rebellion Falcon, but it doesn't get to live long because there's another Kaiju coming. Sweet Dreams Nemlyria is going to be activated to search Nemlyria herself, and as you can probably guess at this point, we don't have much. We're going to Droll and Lockbird, Nemlyria popping off here, going into the Dream Tower. He has the Reveal in hand, and he is going to normal summon Sleeper. Sleeper is actually really annoying because he can stop us from using the Magicalized Fusion I had planned to use. Yikes. He is going to set 1 here and pass back to us, and we draw Gozen Match for turn, which is not half awful. We'll go for Stella. Stella is going to not get its effect off because that is just how things are with Nemlyria Repeater. Repeater can sack a guy off and negate the entire board. He's going to go for the Kaiju Slumber to search himself another Gamma Seal here, which he can't summon, of course, because we have a Gozen Match in play. We do get the tag out to Michaelis here, and we are going to hit the tower to ensure he doesn't get any more stacks out of his extra deck for what that is worth. He's going to search out Aurelia, and then he is going to do the whole, Nemlyria thing. He's going to special summon the Aurelia. It's going to go to 3k. He has the Dreaming Neurality in hand, flips our Michaelis face down, and now it is destroyed, and we're back to square 1 once again. Unfortunately here, we need to get Sophia into the board or graveyard in order to actually use our Magicalized Fusion here, which is a thing we can do, but we're going to have to take even more damage. We will normal summon it. We will punch into Cake Lord over there and go down to 300 life points, but that does let us activate Magicalized Fusion for Quintet to blow up the entire board, and now it's ride or die. Unfortunately for us, Nemlyria is very good at that last part. He's going to get back Reviel and set the Louvre, going for the Sweet Dreams Nemlyria to search out Cake Boss. Cake Boss now being active means he can simply go over it, but he's going to punch into Quintet Magician. That is going to get killed. That's going to summon Nemlyria. Nemlyria will banish our entire board, and as you can probably guess at this point, no matter what we draw, it's not going to be enough. So for game number 2, I'm actually going to spare you the entirety of the game as Lardax is on Dragon Link. This combo takes absolutely goddamn forever, and I'm not going to have you sit through it. As you can clearly tell, we have nothing to stop him on our turn, and he basically gets to combo off as much as he feels like. I'm surprised you can even manage to fit this for $50, but you can. On the end board, we've got nothing. We're going game 2. Alright, for game number 2 then, when we might actually have a chance chance, and I take it back. Our hand is looking very one-note. We're going for the packs here, and we do manage to search out a Martha, so at the very least we can get that play going. We're going to activate the Martha, get the Elis out of the deck, and we're going to overlay them here for Caspatel. Caspatel is going to search us Sophia, because we need another target. We're going to go for the Sophia, activate Sophia effect to draw a card, which is the returning, not the Vetus. We go for the Sakitama, this overlays into Michaelis. Michaelis at least is going to grab us Vetus. We are then going to overlay both for the Magnifica, set 4, pass, and hope that that's enough. Unfortunately, we are here going to activate Vetus to get 2 guys onto the board, and shocker to see we're going to be hit by a Kaiju. Unfortunately here, even though we do have different dimension ground, we do manage to stall for a turn, but we're not going to win this one either, so we'll just skip it and go to the next game. So, for the last duel today, unfortunately in the Lupine Weekly, we received a bye, meaning I don't have a game to show. So, I just went on the casual ladder with the TCG legal deck list, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get to see exactly what this deck kind of fails at doing. We are going first, luckily, so we'll go ahead and we'll activate Martha, which will be hit by the Ash Blossom. Unfortunate. We'll then go for the Aratama, which at the very least is going to search out Sakitama, and we're going to Sakitama and use these 2 for Michaelis. Michaelis can then search Vetus, so we at the very least have some interaction on our opponent's turn with the things that we can exceed summon. Unfortunately, he goes for the Bestial Magnamut, banishing the Sakitama and getting his effect. He then searches Bestial Libellion, and you know, it is what it is. We then go ahead, and during the draw phase, we're going to fire off Vetus, and yeah. Yeah, we're not winning that one either, are we? And that was Exosister. What a fall from grace, I would have said, if this deck really had any grace to begin with. Exosister had a very slight stint of playability back like 2 years ago, back when the graveyard was the main thing you would be doing, and sometimes it could stop tier decks dead in its tracks, but other than that, we haven't really seen anything from the Exosister since. Sexel Field is a very, very interesting tech choice, being able to summon out Rising Rebellion and Kali Yuga, but if you're just going to get Kaiju'd, it's not really going to matter that much, as we've learned. We're also incredibly frail, but let's talk about the score. As for the power level, the deck is getting a 3. You do have some absolutely incredibly plays when you can actually get off Rising Rebellion Falcon and Kali Yuga, but most of those plays require you to have 3 or more cards, one of which can only be searched by terraforming. Normally speaking, that isn't going to happen very often, but when it does, it is very entertaining. For the rest of the power in the deck, you are solely relying on Magnifica and absolutely nothing else, and that isn't that much in today's day and age of Yu-Gi-Oh! As for consistency, it's going to get a 2. Consistency in this is key, and unfortunately, despite the fact that Pax is essentially a combo starter all on its own, it's not enough. You need Pax to search Martha, and in order to actually do the full combo, you need to have another Exosister in your hand, or going into Caspatel to find said Exosister that you need, but you still need to have 2 Exosisters in your hand regardless, and it is just never happening. If you don't have that, you need to open Aratama in order to do your consistent shenanigans, but since this deck wants to turbo out Rising Rebellion Falcon and Kali Yuga as its main play, you also need to have Zexal Field. It's not entirely great. Perhaps a pure Exosister variant, focusing harder on the trap cards, would have been better for this show, but I really wanted to make Zexal Field work because it's a very interesting card. Let's talk resistance then. A 1. This is by far the most frail deck we have seen in the Lupine Weekly Budget Battles Badinga so far, and it is not even close. No matter what your opponent decides to hit in this deck during your combo will end your turn. It doesn't matter if they are hitting an Ash Blossom on Martha, if they are hitting anything on Aratama, whatever, it does not matter. If they hit us with a Droll, our turn is dead. If they hit us with an Ash Blossom, our turn is dead. Nibiru, we didn't see, but Nibiru basically kills us as well. There is not a singular card that doesn't hurt us really hard. If we had the budget for it, this deck would really make do for a crossout package, but now that crossout is at 1, it doesn't matter anymore. They don't have the defense required. Sideboarding gets a solid 3. Our main deck engine is fairly large. There is not a lot that we can take out of it, but the things we can take out at least help us quite a bit. And lastly, the difficulty. At its only saving grace, Exosister is an incredibly simple deck to learn. If you are in a locals wanting to just learn how to play the game, or perhaps you're playing in a very low power format, even more so than the $50 one, this deck might actually be for you. It is incredibly simple combos. It does have some diverting lines that you need to learn to adapt to your hand, but it's not so difficult as it takes you 15 days of just doing combo walkthroughs in order to actually get it. You can very easily pick this up and just play it. This ends Exosister with our current lowest score, 16, our first F rank deck. I can, under no circumstance, recommend you pick this deck up for $50. It is just not worth it, not by a million years. Perhaps you could do a better deck build than me on this deck, but that goes to show that this deck list isn't really that good, and I think most of that lies on the Exosisters themselves. Unfortunately, Exosister can't really be meta relevant when the game has sped up to such a point where their slow, grindy effects that need your opponent to act, they're just not enough anymore, unfortunately. If they get some waves of support that help them really get their Exceed monsters out on the board, that might change. But for now, avoid this one and just check any of the other videos in case you want to see what we have done that's worked way, way better. But before we end this episode, of course, we have the Wheel of Decks to go to. And as thus, the Wheel of Decks. There's been no new additions here, except for the fact that Argomatica has apparently reappeared on the wheel without me wanting it to. Boopsie daisies, it's gone. Everything's fine and dandy. We only have I think we have 12 decks left to go of the decks that I want to play in the format, and then we'll simply see where we go from there. There are quite a few funny decks left on the list, but I don't know if anything can really end up topping the two contenders we have at the top at the moment, Sword Soul being the first one. But the only way to find out is to spin the wheel. So next week, we are going to be playing Mimighoul. Mimighoul is a fairly interesting TCG exclusive archetype all about flip monsters, and more specifically, flipping on your opponent's side of the board. I think this one is at the very least going to have much better of a chance than what we had last week, but only time will tell. If you'd like to have your deck on the wheel, do remember there are channel memberships down below, and for $5 a month, it'll go right on there next to everything else. As always, though, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and remember to stay safe out there.